rough and tough old west town, dirty cowboys. That's what I knew of the Drift Inn growing up.
There's no wild, wild west without the Drift Inn Saloon.
And so lots of drinking, gambling.
The story begins more than a century ago, the saloon opening its doors in 1902 with a bar on the bottom and above.
It was a house of prostitution.
Which was legal in Arizona at the time, but secrets still lingered.
I mean, people are always interested in the unknown, right?
It drew Megan Crawford in, now owner of the saloon. The past is preserved in its walls, but perhaps the past still lurks in the present.
I didn't really believe in the ghost portion of it until we got it, and then it changed my mind fairly quick.
Her chefs reporting the same tale, independent of one another.
There's a woman in the kitchen. She likes to speak your name. She likes to grab your neck and your waist.
Barb, the bartender of nearly 30 years, familiar with their 2 a.m. arrival.
You feel them, kind of. Mostly men. I've seen mostly men, not women.
Stuff being thrown behind the bar, off the bar, stools knocking over, just lots of weird stuff, spooky stuff.
But the spookiest comes in the form of murder in the former second-story brothel called the International House, inside the walls of Room 18.
Joseph Ludwig was murdered in October of 1906 in Room 18, and then 13 months later in November of 1907, Richard Vecklin was murdered in the same room.
Both men worked at the nearby mine. Joe Ludwig slain in Room 18. The aftermath particularly gruesome.
They took him about a mile up the canyon. His throat was slit, his heart was torn out and thrown under a bush, and then they blew him up with dynamite. We believe they didn't want anybody to know who he was.
That very next autumn, Richard Vecklin, discovered by police officers, drugged, robbed of cash, and passed out on the street.
They asked him, where do you need to go? And he told them the International House, Room 18. And so the officers brought him home to Room 18. And so sometime after that, he had his throat slit. The chambermaid found him at about 2 p.m. the next day.
But Vecklin wasn't staying at the International House.
So nobody knows why he said Room 18?
Nobody knows, but I believe that he was trying to tell him that the condition he was in was because of being in the International House in Room 18.
2 prostitutes and their handler were arrested for Vecklin's murder. One of the prostitutes, Elena Mendoza, convicted, but all charges were later dropped after Vecklin's toxicology came back showing no poison in his system, leaving both men's murders unsolved to this day.
This is what the previous owners, what they felt like was Room 18 because of the energy.
The rooms are all renumbered, but the abandoned brothel remains intact.
This would have been the dining room.
So is this the original?
This is the original.
Except now, Megan and her family live up here, subject to the spirits who call this home too.
We painted the floors, and we were on the last room, and I turned around, and clear as day was a woman in white. I thought that there was somebody in the building with us. She's right here. Here.
The lady that you see?
Mm-hmm.
Is it ever anywhere else?
I've never seen her anywhere else.
Some seem to pass by for a fleeting moment.
You're carrying groceries, and you look, and it looks like a cat's running up in front of you.
But there is no cat.
There's no cat. Never had a cat.
Though the Room 18 murders remain a mystery, Megan believes she knows what happened in both cases, starting with the savvy ladies of the night.
I think they had a pretty good ring going on to rob people and take their money.
And the victims caught in their scandalous web.
I think some of them made a big deal out of it, and those were some of the ones that didn't make it out of here.
Megan believes there was truth to that prostitute's conviction before she was freed.
The reason why she was taken to trial to begin with was because she was bragging or threatening basically other men, saying, do you see what happened to him? I can do that to you too.
The answers lie within the bones of this building, trapped in history, but hidden no more.
I mean, what would this big old building be without a ghost, right?
In Globe, Arizona, Brianna Whitney for Arizona's Family.